Which led obviously Dr. to complain about this process. They called for like a report essentially to be written. So to cut quite a long story short, in the end, ICANN put together a report, well, it's advisory, but put together this report that explains the process behind, the reasons why .Connect Africa didn't get the .Africa top-level domain. So what happened to that report?
So I'm not really sure about the report you're referring to. The Government Advisory Committee advised the board to pass the .Connect Africa application. And per the program, specifications, they have the right to do this programmatic advice, and the board is supposed to take this advice strongly into consideration. So that was what occurred, and then the .Connect Africa used one of our accountability mechanisms called the IFP to file their grievance and to look into the board's decision. That is actually a process where a panel of
right, so that's the review panel report.
Yes, the review panel.
Okay. But that report ended up, you put it into the public domain, but it was heavily redacted. A lot of information had been removed from that report. Yeah, so really what I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, you said, okay, we're transparent, here's the report, but it was very heavily redacted. Why was that the case?
So we have confidentiality agreements with other parties, and because we pride ourselves with transparency, and we have we posted the report results within 24 hours, we took our contractual confidentiality agreement and we redacted everything that was supposed to be confidential through the agreement. And then later on, we took our time and we discussed with our party and we looked at all of the different elements that we could unredact, and we issued another report that is only redacting the things that are proprietary and confidential and other parties.
Okay, yeah. So this obviously, so it was a contentious decision, but it was explained and studied through the review panel. It's also something you've been following this story as well. And to be fair to ICANN, they've now put out an albeit, slightly redacted version of the review panel's report. The matter must be closed.
I don't think it will be closed. And while it's really great to hear from Axel about what's going on, what we also see is that these are incredibly complicated areas, and it's about judgment and nuance and about process. Which can never be absolute. Decisions are being made on the basis of, do you think section organisation is capable of running the registry properly? Does it have appropriate support? All of these things are issues of judgment. I mean, what we're seeing here is that ICANN is attempting to have a process which everyone can get behind, and some people haven't. As a result, the sort of decision-making that inevitably happens inside any large organisation is being exposed and criticised. I can't anybody talk about this. No good way to do this. They're completely separated.
Well, we are going to put that there, but Akram Atala, thanks so much for coming on and clarifying all that this week. You've been hearing from Bill Thompson and Gareth Mitchell, the producers, Colin Grant. Goodbye.
This is the BBC World Service. Before the news, a taste of our especially threatened essays, marking World War I.
The Great War began, and the world order hung there.
We travelled from Sarajevo to Washington for our international debate. And in each of these places, a cultural shopper delivered a personal essay. We bring their words together. The war that changed the world in words. Saturday at 20. Radio station.
BBC World Service. This is James Kamarasamy with News Hour. Russia renews its claim to more than 1 million square kilometres of the Arctic seabed. We'll ask who owns the Arctic. The governing body of world athletics, the IAAF, defends its record of dealing with drug cheats. Also, a BBC reporter undergoes interrogation techniques once used by the CIA. And
they get to a point where they want to scratch their skin open and it's like this ions in their bloodstream and they want to scratch them out.
how big a crystal meth problem does Australia have? First, the bulletin of the latest news.
Hello, I'm Neil Muniz with the BBC News. In a rare clash between the executive and the judiciary, the German justice minister has sacked the country's top prosecutor over a controversial treason case. Heiko Maas said he could no longer have confidence in the prosecutor Harald Ranger. From Berlin, Damien McInnes reports.
Germany's chief prosecutor, Harald Ranger, launched an investigation of treason this week into the work of two journalists. He has published leaked documents indicating that Germany's intelligence service was planning to expand online surveillance. The prosecutor says the documents are a state secret and accuses the journalists of committing treason. The case has provoked national outrage in Germany and street protests. This demonstrators accusing the authorities of wanting to muzzle the press.
Russia has submitted a renewed claim for vast regions in the Arctic. It wants the United Nations to recognize that more than 1 million square kilometers of the polar seabed belongs to Moscow. Russia lodged a similar bid for the resource-rich territory in 2001, but that was rejected because of insufficient evidence. The security forces in South Sudan have shut down a key newspaper and radio station. The citizen newspaper was closed on Monday. Now the authorities shut the offices of Free Voice South Sudan. Richard Hamilton.
The Citizen's editor, Neil Ball, said its closure followed an editorial supporting a proposal to end the war. Mediators had given President Salva Kiir and the rebel leader Riek Machar until the 17th of August to sign the peace plan. The Committee to Protect Journalists condemned this latest move, saying that the closure of Free Voice of South Sudan had also affected transmissions of the Voice of America, which shares the same office.
Pro-government forces in Yemen say they've driven Houthi rebel fighters out of the country's largest airbase north of the city of Aden. Government troops and their allies began an assault on the Al-Anad base on Monday, and they say it's now under their control. They've been reinforced with heavy weaponry supplied by Saudi-led coalition that backs the government. Jonathan Marcus reports.
Videos posted on social media sites suggest the size of the deployment of armor from the United Arab Emirates. There are pictures of vehicles being offloaded from a ship at the port of Aden. There are long lines of French built nuclear tanks, Russian supplied BMP-1 combat vehicles, and even horses self-propelled guns in action. There are reports here of Saudi special forces also being involved in the fighting.
Meteorologists say Super Typhoon Kudela has developed into the strongest storm this year as it travels across the western Pacific. Latest measurements have shown wind speeds of more than 350 kilometers an hour. Wind gusts have been recorded so far. World News from the BBC. The World Governing Body for Athletics, the IAAF, has rejected as sensationalist and confusing recent media allegations in Britain and Germany of widespread doping in the sport. An IAAF statement said the reported examination of data from blood samples did not prove doping, and it condemned the publication of confidential medical data obtained without consent. The U.S. government says it's not considering a bailout program for Puerto Rico, which missed a debt payment on Monday, raising fears that the island will fall off the keep paying its creditors. The White House said Puerto Rico needed an orderly process to liabilities. The island, which is an American territory, has debts that amount to $74 billion. The BBC's Bruce Moore says the crisis has been brewing for a while.
How did Puerto Rico get into this mess? Well, as well as borrowing too much money, it also has to do with economic changes. There was a tax break to encourage manufacturing that ran out. It's had a long history with immigration, where a lot of us youth looking for better opportunities move out of the country. That creates more of a burden on those who are left behind.
A police helicopter has crashed in a remote jungle area of northwest Colombia, killing at least 15 officers. They were on an operation to try to arrest one of the leaders of the clan Usuga, a drug gang that operates in the area near the Gulf of Uraba. An initial police investigation has blamed the loss of the aircraft on technical failure. After studying wild bonobo eggs, one of our closest primate relatives, they have communication skills which were previously thought to be unique to humans. British and Swiss psychologists say the bonobos use a single high-pitched call in different situations, meaning their fellow primates have to work out what they mean from the context. That's the latest. BBC World News.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm James Kumarasamy with news out coming to you live from London. And later on in the programme, what does this piece show? The bonobo knows, and so will you in about 20 minutes' time. But before we take you through the jungles of Central Africa, let's journey inside the Arctic Circle. And it's nature for you on this edition of the programme. That, as the budding David Attenboroughs amongst you may have guessed, is the sound of some lesser snow geese being disturbed by an Arctic fox on Wrangel Island, which is part of Russia. Over the years, there has been plenty of wrangling about the ownership of large, resource-rich swathes of the Arctic Ocean. And today, Russia has gone to the United Nations to press its claim to an extra 1.2 million square kilometres of territory. So, there's Moscow's set the cat among the pigeons, or the fox among the geese, with this announcement, the latest in a series of manoeuvres designed to bolster the bona fides of the group of countries which are racing for the same chilly prize. Already, Santa Claus has been given Canadian citizenship. The Russian flag has been dropped onto the Arctic Ocean floor, and the Federation of Denmark has laid claim to large areas of territory, including the North Pole. So, what exactly is at stake? And what should we make of the latest Russian move? Well, Michael Byers is Professor of Politics and International Law at the University of British Columbia in Canada, and he's the author of Who Owns the Arctic? Understanding Sovereignty Disputes in the North. So, what is Russia claiming? Russia is claiming the continental shelf north of mainland Russia, and 1.2 million square kilometers sounds like a lot, until you remember that Russia is the largest country on Earth geographically. It has an incredibly long Arctic coastline. And in making this submission, it is following rules that were set out in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, a convention that was negotiated back in the early 1980s. Quite surprisingly,